And he was like, oh, they can't be that bad. I looked at them and he was like, oh my gosh, we've got Shrek in the house with us today. Good day's work. Scared off a muck spreader. That's the life of Joey. And welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. Now, if you are an audio listener, I apologise, but if you are watching this on YouTube, you will be able to see that we have a new background. Now, if you are listening, if you're like driving your car or something like that, or you're cooking, stay focused on the task that you're doing. Don't worry about coming over to YouTube, because I'm going to describe to you the new background. So we're currently in my office, which actually used to be my old, I was going to say childhood bedroom. It was more of like a teenage bedroom. This was my bedroom from the ages of 16 to 21, I want to say 22. I kind of moved back in for a little bit while the cottage was under construction, so around that kind of mark. But yeah, now I've moved out, this is my new office. So I can't lie, I've had a little bit of a January tidy up. You know, I feel like New Year, everyone says New Year, New You, but I'm still same old as me. I've just had a bit of a tidy up, really. I feel like just New Year's is a great time to have a bit of a declutter. For me, it's been more of I have loads of cardboard boxes and things that just like need to either go up to the horses that were just in the office for some reason. Had a bit of a wardrobe, kind of put things where they should be. Basically, I had this rail of clothes and coats just in the middle of the office, and I've now moved some furniture around, so it's a little bit more, efficient. There we go. So it's all feeling very big and airy and tidy, but I'm currently sitting on the office sofa, which some of you might have seen pictures of the office on either my YouTube office tour, if you want to check that out, or just like on socials and things like that. So I feel a lot comfier. Before I was just on like an old stool in the garage where it was a bit cold, it was a bit drafty, it was a bit mold as well, you know. We're horse people, we're glamorous, or country people. But no, I've got my like little background with the books, I've got some cool lights, everything. So yeah, this is the new background. Let me know what you think. It might change a little bit from here and there, but at the moment I am loving it. Also audio, we'll have to see if the audio is good today, because obviously it's in a different place, so it might sound a little bit different, you never know. But yeah, before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And I know, this time of year, especially if you're in the UK, everybody is kind of thinking about their summer holidays, what they're going to do on their kind of summer vacation. Now, even if you're not from the UK and you fancy coming over here, I would definitely recommend a trip to Devon. I feel like I've been on so many kind of summer holidays to Devon, and do you know what's in Devon? Red Post. So if you're heading over there, want to, go to the beach, go to Dartmoor, you can go and see on the way, depending on where you live actually. If you live in Cornwall, that is definitely not on the way. But if you're coming from most places, you can go past Stonehenge, which is pretty cool. And of course, you can get a cream tea, because we all love a cream tea. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd let you know, if you are planning a trip to Devon this summer, this summer holiday still feels quite a way away, be sure to head to Red Post, because they have a lovely cafe. The milkshakes there are incredible. So hopefully I'll be going back sometime in the summer, maybe for a meet and greet. We'll see. We're in discussion. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much to Red Post. If you want to check them out online, as I said before, they do ship all over the world. Be sure to head to redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's jump into the podcast. I feel like this week has been actually quite a chilled week. January, like work-wise for me, is very much like a planning month. I feel like I said this before. I feel like I've kind of been in, I've said this before again, my grandma era the last week. I feel like I've done lots of planning, lots of editing, lots of kind of just boring admin office stuff. But I've also done a lot of gardening. I feel like I've been loving that recently. Again, I just find it so satisfying, especially as my garden, can't lie, it's been a little bit neglected last summer. I had lots of plants and weeds that grew that just were not pruned, so I've been doing lots of pruning. I found this like little pathway in my garden that I didn't even really realise was kind of there, just because it got so overgrown, and I trimmed all that back and it looks so satisfying now. Also planted some plants. I did so much gardening the other day. I don't know if no, it's kind of gone now, it's washed off. I mean, it would be quite gross if I had yesterday's, not dirt, I'll explain in a sec. Basically, I didn't realise that, the saying when someone has green fingers, I thought, that's because, they're planting plants, plants are green, that kind of thing. It's like a little expression. No. I have this pair of green gardening gloves, and obviously I think I got my hands obviously got a bit wet. It was raining. Maybe I got a bit sweaty because I was hauling this. I've got this like collapsible bag bin thing that's made of kind of plastic that I've been carrying all my leaves because my garden like is kind of at the bottom of a woods, so it's so pretty. But the only problem is there are so many leaves. So I've been doing lots of raking, carrying all these leaves and all these weeds and stuff. So I feel like I've gone to the gym. I feel quite buff after doing all that, so I can't lie. Did get a bit of a sweat on doing some gardening. So yeah, my grandparents must be, absolutely ripped because that's what they do all day, every day. So I feel like that would be me when I'm retired one day. I'll just be like, I'll be gardening. I want to have lots of cobs as well. I love cobs. Maybe when I'm older, do dressage. Be one of those like old. I say old. Be one of those like retired dressage cob ladies. That is my future. That is my dream. But anyway, that's normally who I compete against when I go and do dressage at a local unaffiliated on like a Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, so I've been really enjoying doing that. So yeah, my hands, I was in shock. My hands were green from these gardening gloves. I think basically the gardening gloves I do need to put in the washing machine. But I think because they've never really been washed, I think the dye just seeped through into my hands. So if you're a gardening person, please tell me if that's normal or not. Actually, one of my friends is a gardener. I'll just ask her. But yes, so my hands were literally green. I went out on a date with my boyfriend that afternoon, and when I met up with him, I was like, just apologies that my hands are green. And he was like, oh, they can't be that bad. I looked at them and he was like, oh my gosh, we've got Shrek in the house with us today. To be fair, it was more of a bluey green than a Shrek green. And I tried everything to try and wash it off. To be fair, it did wash off all right. A lot of it washed off with just like water and soap and things. I even got some nail polish remover out because I thought, you know what, that might work. That might get my green fingers off. But no, I just had slightly green fingers for the rest of the day. But yeah, 24 hours later, my fingers are no longer green. Also, as I said before, been enjoying a little bit of reading. While I've been doing my gardening, I've actually been really enjoying listening to audiobooks. Now, I actually did like a little ad campaign with BookBeat, and I thought, you know what? My podcast listeners, if you enjoy listening to the podcast, you probably will enjoy listening to audiobooks. So I thought I'd let you know, if you use the code ESME, ESME, that for a limited time only, so hopefully when this goes out, if you listen to the podcast straight away, you'll be able to use the code to get up to 60 days free trial on BookBeat, where they have, I'm pretty sure it's over 900,000 audiobooks. So I'm pretty sure you'll find at least one audiobook on there that you'll like. So if you want to use the code, if you want to check it out, I thought I'd let you guys know because you like listening to the podcast? Well, if you're listening, I hope you're liking it. You'll probably enjoy audiobooks too. But anyway, on to the next thing. As I've told you before, recently in the podcast, we've had like quite a few different car issues, car troubles, and we've actually said goodbye to a car that we've had for 4 years. It's an electric car that we've had on like a lease. So we said goodbye to that, and I feel like that was quite sad. I feel like it's quite sad saying goodbye to a car because that's the kind of car that me and my dad, we got it when it was around, 2019, end of 2019. So it was around the time when I started doing YouTube full time. So it was kind of like a little bit like our work car. We did so many road trips up and down the country. And I was talking to my family about this and I was like, which car do you think I've slept the most in? Was it that car? Because literally I feel like I time travel. I've said this so many times before, but I get in the car at 4 a.m. My dad picks me up. I fall asleep. I wake up every time 5 minutes before we get to the service station. I don't know what it is. I can just, my brain, honestly, always 5 minutes before. So if it was when we arrived, that would be understandable because obviously, the car stops. But no, it's always 5 minutes before. I wake up, have my breakfast, and then we'll go another, 20 minutes, and then we're at wherever we're going. So, we're saying either that one or the childhood car that we had for ages, because I was that kid where if I couldn't get to sleep, my parents would just stick me in the car and I'd fall asleep straight away. So maybe that's why I'm so good at sleeping in a car, because that's what my parents would do if I could never sleep. So there we go. I think percentage-wise, the car that we've said goodbye to, it's probably one I've definitely spent more time in that car asleep than awake, that's for sure. I'll be concerned if I said that about my own car, because that's the one I drive. But in all fairness, my boyfriend is on the insurance on my car, so if we go on a road trip together, I'm the passenger princess. He's driving. He's one of those people, like, he's fine with no sleep. I'm not a monster. I just cry a lot if I don't have enough sleep. It's really quite embarrassing, actually. Like, if I don't have enough sleep, I'll just, like, the smallest thing, the smallest inconvenience, I'll shed a little tear. So I don't know why, but there we go. That's just how I'm designed. I'm a girl who needs her sleep. So anyway, also talking about road trips and summer holidays, that kind of thing. Not really summer, but exciting things that are coming up. I am heading to the National Equine Show again this year. Went last year. I'm back again. I have an exclusive ticket deal for limited time only and limited tickets available only. If you use the code ThisEsme, spelt THISESME, then you will get, hopefully, if it all works out, free tickets for the Saturday. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, use that. And if it doesn't work, I'm sorry, you're too late. Missed the party. Should have listened to the podcast as soon as it came out. I'm sorry. Tough luck. Anyway, so there we go. Thank you. I just want to say a huge thank you to the National Equine Show for inviting me. Hopefully see you all there. I'm going to be doing meet and greets and everything again. 3 meet and greets, actually. So see you there. Have a great time. And I'm there on the Saturday as well. So there we go. Anyway, yeah, I was going to say that's a little ad break. That's a little interlude. What else are we going to be talking about today? I've got my little Emily Cole. My phone's almost run out of charge. I've been on it too much today. You know, I was going to say answering emails and stuff. I went to the hairdressers this morning, so I spent a lot of time on my phone going on, I don't know, Reels and TikTok and stuff, but also chatting to my hairdresser. So, but you know, there's that awkward bit where like they're using the hairdryer on you and you can't really like talk back because, especially me, I have such bad hearing. I've said this before. So, you know, when the hairdryer's going, I don't know what you're saying. So anyway, yeah, I thought I've got my little list here of topics that I want to talk about on here. What we talk about? Oh, I thought I'd talk about my first hack back with Joey after his injury, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that, especially as the previous episode. Hopefully I'm getting this in the right order. I feel like January's been one of those months where everything kind of goes into one. You don't really, like, there's not much going on. It's all just kind of the same. But anyway, so in the previous episode, I was talking about the plan was to take Joey for a hack. Thought, you know what? In the words of Sid the Sloth, I choose life. I'm going to lunge him first. And I'm glad I did, because he was spicy. He was crazy. He was wild. So I was like, maybe not. Film podcast instead. So today, actually not today, it was last week, took him for a hack. He was as good as gold. He was so chilled. Went straight up into the horse box, was so happy when he saw me putting all the tack in the horse box. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to a party. So yeah, he was very happy. And then he was just really chilled when I was tacking him up. There was no, like, fidgeting. To be fair, I was very good. I took him to the hacking place where it's like, I feel like, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but depending on the destination where they take their horse hacking, there's kind of different vibes. So for me, when I take Joey on the hills, Joey's like, okay, let's go. We're having a gallop. We're going. But also he knows, oh my gosh, we're going to be out here for hours and I'm going to be tired. So I can't go too crazy at the beginning, because if not, I'm going to be pooped. But also, and then when I take him to the forest, it's like in between, you know, it's medium vibes. Sometimes we have a little walk. Sometimes we have a little canter. We don't really canter in the same place, because I've learned the hard way. If you canter your horse in the same place every single time, they will know, they will get hyped up and hold on for your dear life. So anyway, there's that. And then we have the hacking place that I decided to take him for our first hack back, which is the Chilled Vibes hacking place, because there's a lot of like dog walkers that are there, but obviously it was one of the freezingest, coldest days of the year, so I didn't have to worry about bumping into too many people, because everyone was like, no thank you, I'm staying indoors with a hot chocolate, a fire, and a movie on, which is understandable. Even when I was out there, I went past somebody's house and they were like, this guy was like, you are brave. You are very brave. And I was like, just wait till you hear, this is the first time I've ridden this horse out in a different place that's not home since October. And he was like, you're even braver. So there we go. But yeah, no, he was actually so good. And one of the other reasons why it's so chilled there, we normally go in the winter because there's a lot of paths there. So it's like a little area that's owned by the Forestry Commission. So little top tip, if you want to sound, I don't want to sound like one of those like weird recruiting people. Basically, there's a thing in the UK called the Forestry Commission. This is not an ad or anything, I just think it's amazing, where basically there's lots of like woodland areas, lots of farms, things like that. I hope I'm getting this all factually correct, where you can pay a little bit of money each year to become a member. They give you a code so you can park in certain areas with your horse box, and you can basically go and ride in really pretty places. So that's one of our local woods that we went to, and a lot of it has that's why a lot of like dog walkers and things go there, because there's a lot of tracks that are paved. I say paved, they're stony, I'd say, like a stony kind of, yeah, anyway, stony paths. There are obviously some bits that a lot of dog walkers do go in where there are smaller paths that horses aren't allowed on, so there's bits that we're allowed on, bits that we're not. But yeah, my horses always have a pretty chilled time there, because it's obviously, the ground's a little bit harder being stony. We never go for like a full-on gallop there, so for them it's normally like a nice little leg stretch. Maybe we have a little trot here and there. There are a few bits where it's like I say muddy, grassy, that I do have a canter on. But obviously this time of year we don't go there. Hardcore, I think that's what it's called. Yes, hardcore. There we go. I was trying to think of it. But no, Joey was so chilled. We went out for about half an hour, did mainly walking, did a little bit of trot, took some cute photos, obviously, for the memes for our first hack back, but he was so good. I was there, snuggled up in my duvet coat, having a great time. But no, I was so proud of him. I thought he was going to be mental, but he was so well behaved. Maybe I brought the good vibes. I was like, yep, we're going to have a nice chilled hack. You're going to be a good boy. And he was just happy. I think also, like, my horses are always more chilled when my dad's, like, actually, I was going to say he went on the bike, actually. I was going to say, normally when he's walking with them, the horse is like, I don't want to run away from my dad. Does that sound weird if I say that because I'm like their mum? But then my dad's also, no, we're not going into that. That sounds really weird. But anyway, moving on. But no, if they're, their humans are with them, then, they're normally pretty happy, pretty chill, especially if we're chatting away, because the horses, they often, like, listen out for predators and stuff. So if Joey's ever a little bit freaked out, actually, I took him for a hack on the road the other day, and he did get a little bit spicy for two reasons. Number one, because of ice on the road and our footpath / bridle path. Yeah, our bridle path was just way too muddy to take him across because of the rain we had, and we didn't want to take him for a super long hack because there are some bits that are icy, but obviously the bits that we were riding on was not icy because they'd been in the sun, so couldn't go into the shady bits because that still had ice on the road, which would not have ended well. Joey would have literally been Joey on ice, Bambi on ice. So we just went for a little walk up and down the road, but obviously when I turned him around and we didn't do a loop, Joey was like, I'm on my way home. I want to go fast. And at the exact moment, our neighbours did some muck spreading in the field. And I don't think Joey has ever seen a muck spreader before. So that was interesting. He looked at that and was like, no, thank you. I don't like you. Get away from me. And luckily, the muck spreader was driving away from us. So Joey gave it a little bit of a snort. He went up into what I call stallion mode, even though he's a gelding. Gave it a few snorts and it was, driving away. And Joey was like, there we go. That was me clapping my hands, like dusting them off, like good day's work. Scared off a muck spreader. That's the life of Joey. It's hard being this badass. So anyway, am I allowed to say badass? Is that family friendly enough? I think we're gonna say yes. It's the podcast. We're a bit more chilled here. But anyway, so yeah, Joey, he is hardcore, like the hardcore that we were riding on earlier. There we go. That wasn't really very interesting. Sorry, I was trying to do something there. It really wasn't. So yeah, that was our interaction with the muck spreader, and that was his reaction. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's what I was saying before. With the muck spreader, whenever there's something a little bit scary and my horse is a little bit on edge, I just talk to either them or I talk to somebody that's with them. So I was with my dad, and we were just chatting away. And I find if you're talking, the horse is like, oh, they're not listening out for predators. I don't know if this is a scientific fact or not, or if it's just my horses, or, see if it works with your horses. Give it a try. Can't do any harm. But I find if they're like a little bit spooky, if I just chat to them, just chat away about, I don't know, like I do on my podcast, I'll just say something random like what I had for lunch, what I had for breakfast. I feel like that's always like a thing. Whenever I get mic'd up for interviews or radio or stuff like that, to test the mic, they always ask you, what did you have for breakfast, rather than like tell me a bit about yourself, because people always go I don't know. I'd rather people just say, can you just say the alphabet to me, because that I don't have to think about. I know the alphabet. But if somebody asks me what I had for breakfast, I will actually have a mental block, and I'll be like, I don't know, especially if I stayed at like a hotel like the night before, if I'm on like a work trip and I'm not away from home, I won't be able to remember what I have for breakfast, because normally I feel like all of my friends do this as well. We were talking about this the other day, actually, when we went out. We were talking about we often have the same breakfast every single day for like 3 months, and then one day it doesn't hit the same, does it? And you're just like, I want to try something new. And then you have that new thing, and then you have it every single day for another few months. And then you change. Sorry, that was a really random little thing tangent to go off, but this is Esme's country life. This is what we do. Anyway, back to my little post-it now. What else do we have on here? One thing that I actually had on my little list that I forgot about was, when I went on my holiday in between Christmas and New Year, one of the things I didn't tell you guys about, which was actually it was kind of embarrassing. I told you guys about it on my story, but I thought I'd reenact the story for you all. So me and my boyfriend were getting our flight home back to England from Spain, and we were in Malaga airport, and we were like, we've got a bit of time, let's get some dinner. Like us always, we were like, let's get some food, can't go wrong. Went to like a restaurant there, and I don't want to sound like I was a Karen, but when you're in an airport, most people probably know that you're going to be catching a flight. So it had been about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and we hadn't got our food yet, and we were kind of like looking at each other like, I don't want to say something, and I don't want to complain. I feel like this is such a Gen Z thing, like not wanting to complain, or Gen Z. I feel like Americans always make fun of me for saying Z instead of Z. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, we were like, we don't really want to complain, but it got to the stage where we're like, okay, we'll try and catch like a waiter or waitress and ask them, like, do they know how long our food's going to be? Because we got a flight to catch. So anyway, we asked this guy, and he's like, oh yeah, it's coming. And we're like, okay. And then in the corner of our eye, we see this little robot thingy moving towards us. And then we look at each other and we're like, what is that? And it was this cat, and it had this like really loud American accent. Obviously it was really loud, and it was like going along, and it was like, and every now and again, because people obviously had like suitcases and things and bags and luggage that was blocking its way, and it was like, excuse me, can you let me through, please? And then there were all these people like moving, or like their chairs were in the way, and they'd like tuck themselves under the table, and it was coming along. And then I could see, as it got a little bit closer, that it had our food on the tray, and we were like, oh no. It gave me the same feeling as, when it's your birthday and you see the birthday cake come out, and you're like, oh no, everyone in the restaurant is going to stare at me while everyone sings happy birthday. Well, anyway, this cat delivered our food, this robot cat tower thing. And we were like, oh my... So anyway, it hadn't even really like got to us properly yet, and I was like quickly grabbing the food off it, because I was like, please go away, everyone's staring. I'm not one of those people that like attention like that. That's not for me. I'm not one of those people where when I go to things, I would put my hand up for audience participation. I'd much rather, watch in the background. So anyway, then once it eventually got to us, it started singing, and we were like, oh my goodness, what is this? So that was quite weird. It's like, a little bit of the future. I don't know if I like it or not, especially as I don't know how much that thing cost to build and design, and that could have been somebody, like a waiter's job to do that. I don't know, but makes me feel a bit funny. So there we go. That was a little bit different. What else have I been up to recently? Oh, I did a little, what's it called? A webinar. I did a webinar with World Horse Welfare. As a lot of you guys know, I am very honoured to be a patron for World Horse Welfare. It's a charity that I've been working with for a while. A lot of you probably know my little pony Duke, who is now 3.5. He's grown up so quickly. When I got him, he was only 1. He was a yearling. But yeah, he's from World Horse Welfare. We rehomed him back in August of 2021. So this summer, I will have had Duke 3 years. I'm sorry. When did that happen? That has gone by so quickly. Oh, also, sorry, jumping around. the other day, it was my 10-year anniversary with Casper. So there we go. That's even more wild. So there we go. And then, and then it will be 4 years of having Joey in March. So 4 years of COVID as well. That's gone by quickly, but also slowly, but also quickly. I just feel like time goes at a real weird pace now. I don't know if it's because I'm in my 20s or it's because of like lockdowns and stuff, but I feel like I don't really understand the concept of time anymore. It feels weird. Anyway, moving on back to World Horse Welfare. So I did a little webinar I did alongside Riding with Ree and also Gemma Owen, where we talked all things about horse welfare, social media, creating content. I thought I would talk, actually, if you haven't watched that, or if you weren't, live on the webinar, if you go to the World Horse Welfare YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure they have the full thing there. If you want to listen to that, if you want to watch it, find out what we chatted about. We talked about lots of different things, but I thought, actually, while we're on the podcast, I would answer a few of the main questions and themes that we talked about with creating content and horses. And one of the things that I got asked the most was, how do I change my content, or how do I plan my content kind of like around the horses? So a lot of the time, if I'm filming, for example, I do like a day in the life vlog, I'm literally just vlogging around what I would normally do with the horses. And also, like, a lot of people asked about, do I ever like change my content depending on what happens with the horses, which obviously yes. When Joey had his injury, that's something that you cannot plan. So I did like a little series all about rehab and that kind of thing. But also a lot of the time when it comes to photo shoots and stuff that I do with the horses, like, they're having a great time. They're doing stuff that they would normally be doing. For example, normally if I, shoot content of the horses wearing pretty things or me wearing pretty things, then normally we go for a hack and the horses have a blast. And a lot of the time we get like action shots if I'm cantering, or sometimes they enjoy like just standing, like especially Casper. Actually, Casper is pretty chill. I'd say, as horses go, if he's in a potato mood, he's pretty lazy. So the chance to just stand there and look pretty, he loves. Also, Joey, he is so clever. I don't know if this is a Joey thing or if most horses would do this, but he can hear the shutter of the lens and he like puts his ears forward because he's like, "Ooh, what's that?" So Joey, I'd feel like, is probably the best horse when it comes to getting photos. I mean, he is very photogenic. I mean, all of my horses are very photogenic, but he's just very good at hearing the camera clicking. And like, obviously, if there are days where they're like, you know what, this is not for me, then I work with horse brands that understand that horses are horses. Sometimes you can't get things done on time or things done on that day. Actually, I'd say more often than not, if something doesn't go to plan, it's normally down to the weather than the horses, because the horses, they're out there, they're having a great time. They're going for a gallop, they're going for a run, they're going for a good time on the beach or in the forest, or I'm just doing show jumping that I would normally do with Joey anyway. And actually, something that's quite interesting that not many people might know, but a lot of the times I've gone to professional yards to film videos, stuff like that, and they've gone, "Are you sure you have enough footage?" Because a lot of the time we've got things that are very much fly on the wall, and I feel like organic content like that isn't set up, where people don't really know. Obviously, everyone in the video consents to being in the video. We weren't just like some little creeps going around, taking footage. Everyone consented, and obviously everyone checks the videos before we put them out when I video somebody else. But yeah, a lot of the time we're and it's just me and my dad, because I feel like if you have a full-on camera crew and that's all around a horse with like flashes and stuff like that, that's just not going to end well. So there we go. Also, talking about World Horse Welfare and Duke had his checkup today. So a little fun fact, if you didn't know, if you rehome a horse from World Horse Welfare, you don't actually own the horse. World Horse Welfare still do. So if anything happens to me, for example, I get sick and I can't look after Duke, or for whatever reason I stop looking after Duke properly, they can take him away. They can be like, "Sorry, mate, we're taking him back." So it means that no horse ever has to, in World Horse Welfare's care, ever has to suffer again. So anyway, Duke, he had his checkup. He has a checkup twice a year, like randomly, like they call up like the day before or something, being like, "Hey, we're coming over to make sure that your horse is all good." So he had his checkup today, and they're very happy with how he's doing. I feel like that would be a fun job. You just go around and see loads of cute ponies. But anyway, Duke's all good. The horses are all good. And that has been this week, really. I feel like there hasn't been too many embarrassing stories. I haven't really embarrassed myself this week, so that's all good. I've just had a good old time with the horses, really. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. If you want to check them out, let me know in the comments if you are listening to the podcast on a comment providing platform. Does that make sense? Anyway, let me know what you think of the new background. Hope you like it. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye!